Hello everyone, and welcome. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at a very small machine. This particular unit was received on the very last day, and it's actually an unreleased machine. The manufacturer specifically sent it to us for comprehensive evaluation and thorough testing. So, with the machine in hand, let's examine its packaging. It's quite conventional, and there are no color options available. Let's just go ahead and proceed with the unboxing right away. On its back, there's a label with some information. From that, you can probably tell this is indeed a MANT device. Yes, a MANT. It's quite simple. Inside, you just get the main unit, an instruction manual, and a power cable. The screen is a 4-inch display. It features a 720 by 720 square screen, a large 5000 mAh battery supporting 5 volt, 2 amp charging, with expandable storage up to 512 GB. As you can see, the RAM and internal storage are 1 GB and 4 GB respectively, which are both on the smaller side. This machine truly embodies a retro-inspired, nostalgic feel, somewhat akin to the earlier RGB30. So that's the setup. And inside the machine itself, there's a double-sided instruction manual, which is quite straightforward and easy to follow. It's really quite simple. There's a power button, a navigation button, and volume controls all on the back. Let's take a look. The device itself is incredibly straightforward. Here you'll find a protective film. Once we remove the machine, inside there's just a data cable, and that truly is all there is to it. It's a straightforward setup. This particular machine is primarily designed to be highly affordable. Alright, let's dive into the machine itself. The moment you hold it, you'll immediately see its completely smooth back panel. It really embraces a rather retro, flat aesthetic, totally devoid of any kind of grip or textured surface. It's just a perfectly sleek, flat back, and at the very bottom you'll find 2 symmetrically positioned speakers. And then, looking at the top, we have the shoulder buttons, the headphone jack, the power port, and a TF card slot. That covers all the ports on the top. So, MANT, in their kindness, provided us with a 128GB card, specifically for our testing. They're quite considerate, allowing us to thoroughly test it out. Alright, and on the side, as I mentioned, we have the navigation and power button. Here are the volume buttons, and on the front, dual joysticks, a D-pad, ABXY buttons, and these 2 are the start-select buttons. So, let's take a closer look and see how it feels to hold. Since what I have is a test unit, I suspect the D-pad will be adjusted further. As for the current D-pad, how should I put it? It's consistent with MANT's typical construction, having that rather soft, almost hollow feel to it. The D-pad specifically doesn't feel very solid, or provide particularly reassuring tactile feedback. However, the joysticks are quite good. They also support pressing down. Alright, let's go ahead and power it on to take a look and see how it works. Alright, after a sustained press to power it on, it then presents a boot-up logo. It's called Time Armor, which coincidentally is exactly the same name as what's featured on its packaging box. The system boots up quite slowly. After a considerable wait, it finally loaded. This machine offers Wi-Fi connectivity, so yes, we can connect to Wi-Fi. It directly boots into its own front end, MANT's front end. Once inside, we're presented with options like personal information, which is quite simple. We can select game exit, favorites, search, history, and then settings. Within the settings, we're able to adjust the brightness. It has 10 levels of brightness, so let's turn it to max. In the network settings, we have options to connect to a network, clear all data, update, and perform a button test. Let's go ahead and try the button test feature. So it only has a relatively simple button test. Let's take a look at it now. The travel distance on its joysticks is quite short because they're small. All the buttons are easily reachable and pressable. Its biggest advantage is that the D-pad doesn't register false inputs. See that? Left and right inputs don't get mixed up. It must be using a membrane, so it's fixed in place and won't register incorrect inputs. When I press them simultaneously, it registers, yet it's definitely not very sensitive or responsive. And the ABXY buttons also feature a membrane design as well. This applies here as well, so let's long press it now. You should select Exit and then subsequently return to the previous screen. Alright, so one of its rather unique features is its online multiplayer. This online multiplayer actually was already available on the 15U. It's a key highlight of MANT's platform, offering the ability to play online. This is for online multiplayer. As for local games, it comes pre-installed with titles from a multitude of platforms. As you can see, it even supports systems up to the PSP. Yes, it genuinely supports the PSP, which is really impressive. Alright, next up, let's take a look at the GBA. For the GBA, we'll select the game Fire Emblem, The Sacred Stones, and try to get into it. However, the loading time is still a bit on the slower side, but that's a common issue with emulators, as you know. Alright, we're in now. Let's take a look. I currently have it set to 4:3, and as you can see, the picture quality is actually quite decent, which is impressive. So this is the original aspect ratio. Let's see what a perfect 2x pixel scaling would look like. With double the pixels, it would extend to exactly this point here. Well, what if we tried to go 3 times bigger with the scaling then? This is also the spot where the issue crops up. In other words, if we attempt to stretch it out to completely fill the available space, it simply won't work effectively. The scaling presents a significant problem. This means that the perfect scaling option at the bottom cannot be utilized, because if you use this option, the image gets completely pushed into that corner of the screen, making it completely unusable and distorting the entire view. Alright, let's back out of this. So, when it comes to GBA games, this system actually allows for both 4:3 aspect ratio and a proper full screen display. Alright then, let's proceed to take a look at some of the other matters. Alright, so right now we're loading up an arcade game. That's right, an arcade game. Let's take a look at its loading process. Once it's finished loading, we'll then see just how long it actually takes to get into the system. While it's booting up, let's take another look at the casing. It's a pearlescent white, perfectly complemented by purple buttons. Personally, I find it quite attractive. What do you all think? I think this particular color combination truly works quite well. The pearl white finish provides a rather nice tactile sensation as well. Alright, we're successfully in. However, the speed at which it boots into the system and loads games is indeed noticeably quite slow. Alright, let's head inside and take a closer look to see what's going on. It can be controlled using the D-pad, and the joystick can also be used. Both input methods are fully functional and available for gameplay. This game unfortunately doesn't offer a full screen display option, which can be a bit of a drawback, especially for those who prefer an immersive gaming experience. It's a limitation that might impact how much you enjoy playing it. The visuals are pretty good. I personally think the effects are quite nice. And that's it. To exit, if it quits, you just press the double S button like so, and you'll be out of the game. Yeah, the controls are pretty simple. So what about power consumption? It's not bad. Only 1 bar of battery was used up after all that. The battery capacity is large, at 5000 mAh. So generally speaking, this machine is indeed quite underpowered. Running PSP games on it would likely result in noticeable and significant lag. However, running other games is not really an issue with this device, so its peak performance is only equivalent to a top-tier PSP. Now, this device doesn't support touch input, as you can clearly observe, so much like the RGB30, it's a machine that entirely lacks any kind of touch control functionality. Regarding the chip, I can't currently view it, but based on what I understand, it's not the RGB30's chip. Rather, it utilizes an entirely different one. Regarding the specific chip, we'll have to wait for an official announcement. It wouldn't be right for me to speculate excessively about it at this moment. In any case, this chip definitely isn't very powerful, otherwise it wouldn't come with this kind of configuration. So that concludes this rather small and swift unboxing of this little device. Well, today marks the very last day of 2025. I sincerely hope all you fellow gamers out there have a wonderfully joyful conclusion to this year, 2025, and a magnificent welcome to the brand new year, 2026. That brings this video to a close. We'll catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.